many. Who is our guest gonna be? Andrew Bob.
That's me.
Let there be no doubt about it.
Nice.
What a fucking range he has. Because I tried to do it. I was like, let's do it in the actual studio recording. Nope. That's a really fucking high. It's like, let's take this down an octave.
Yeah, no. We'll get to it, but their range is bananas.
Yeah. But yeah, welcome to Setlist episode 20. I actually had this like really kind of heartfelt introduction thing or whatever, because the first time, Andrew, that you and I had or before we even hopped on call, I remember putting out a post for Jukebox. We were doing a countdown for Eagles tunes, and you're like,
Yes.
yeah, sure. And I think we decided by a wheel, if I remember correctly. You just happened to be on, and it was like, yeah, that, and then it blossomed into all of this. So spoilers, Mr. Producer Man. Well, I guess now is the time, since we did it similar with the like on its Stones. If you haven't figured it out yet, we are moved on to a new channel. This will be the last episode of the set list. It just kind of ran its course. We had some fun with it. We had some pretty good guests, and I was like, hey, Andrew, do you want to close out the show with me? And he's like, abso-fucking-lutely.
I've been waiting for you to ask me, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I always knew that you would be one of the last ones. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else that I would have had on for a last guest, but
well, here's the twist, Brooklyn. I'm actually taking over this show, and you're the guest this week. So here we go. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that'd be great, though. I mean, yeah.
I thought about that, but then I also thought that's just way too much work.
That's way too much work, and it's like that'd be like a fucking 2.5 hour show if we just did both of our answers.
Yeah.
God damn it, though. You would have listened to Foo. Yeah. Would you have listened to? Yeah, I think it would have made you listen to Foo Fighters.
I like Foo Fighters. I've listened to a lot of Foo Fighters.
But to do a deep dive of Foo Fighters, though, would have been great.
Okay, so we're talking about like all of the like the deep cuts and like the live stuff.
Like you're mostly I really want you to listen to like In Your Honor, Medicine at Midnight, their second most recent album, and then also like Wasting Life. But I wonder if we could ever make a show with that kind of concept, being like, hey, I really like this album.
I don't know about that, Brooklyn. We'll talk afterwards.
Yeah, but yeah, if you've never watched the show, how the show works is I give each guest the same 10 questions, and then, well, normally it'd be like, oh, I can go into the next show and anticipate the next ones, but there isn't any next one. So if this is the first time you're watching this, sorry, there's no more episodes to go.
Thank you for watching. Sucks to suck.
Yeah,
please like and subscribe.
Yes. But yeah, Andrew, how did you feel about making your list? I mean, obviously being the producer man for this for so long, I'm sure you just had answers sitting ready to go.
Mr. Producer Man, I can see him backstage like yelling. It was a 50-50 split, sir or ma'am. So there were some answers that were really easy. And then there was one that was definitely hard. And then there was another one that it took me a little bit to think of an answer, but I'm still happy with it. So kind of all over the place. I'm musically knowledgeable. But there are some questions where I have very loose interpretation.
Okay. But yeah, let's move on to question number 1. Your favorite artist. And if you've been following along the show with other shows, I don't think you're going to be surprised with this one.
Yeah, you stole my intro. If you know me at all, you know that the answer for this question is Peter Gabriel. Peter Gabriel, even with his Genesis days, He is just, to me, one of the more unique, interesting, creative artists that I can think of. You can tell that his music comes from his passion and his soul. Um, and he's always trying to find new, creative, unique ways of expressing it. Um, so yeah, and he's also just got one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard.
Yeah, he definitely has a really nice voice. A lot of range, like I mentioned, kind of in the intro. But yeah, I'd love to sit in the recording studio with him and see how he kind of comes about these songs. Um, and especially like a lot of it is kind of carried over from the Genesis days to the point where like I hear some of these songs and it's like, did Phil Collins kind of just take the style that Peter really started? Because I when some of these songs came on, I'm like, oh, this would be a perfect fit for Phil. But it's like, no, Peter's the one that kind of like created and made them. And I would I would understand if this is not for everybody. Like I think Cody's already discussed like it's
Yeah,
just not there. It's not like this isn't like easy listen. There's some that are, but when he's really trying for different stuff, like there's one in particular that I'll mention later.
okay.
Really trying these like new sounds and trying to get like a certain kind of feel or emotion. Um, I'll be kind of honest when I came to Peter's discography, I just stuck with the solo stuff, and I got to about the first four albums. Oddly enough, it's the third and the fourth album. I thought it was just the fourth, but it's actually the third upon checking before the show. He translated his albums into German as well, and it came
Huh.
up at going through my discography. I was like, oh, okay, I appreciate it, but I think we're just going to end here and check everything else out on the list.
Yeah.
The first album is it's wild. Like it's definitely fresh off of Genesis of like try some weird stuff. Like more about the Burgermeister is the one that opens it. But it's weird though because immediately after that you have Salisbury Hill, which is like easy listen, incredible. Excuse Me is another one that's kind of out there. Humdrum. Down the Dolce Vita was probably my favorite one of the ones that I hadn't heard before.
Mhm.
What's your thoughts on like his first solo record?
So I've only ever really listened to it like once or twice. Um, I'm kind of more with Peter, I'm kind of more of the singles. Um, but this album is just kind of it's okay, so knowing the history behind him and leaving Genesis, um, it's a very freeing album for him. You can really tell that he has had a lot going on and that this is like his release. Like this is the album that he like really gets to release his inner emotions in his own unique way. It's not my favorite of his albums. It's not even my favorite of the Peter Gabriel quadrilogy or however
Yeah. No.
whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Um,
of the quadrilogy, I would it's probably the worst. But they're kind of like Toy Story films. Like it's not
mhm.
bad, but it's just the how good the other three are in particular.
Yeah. I it's kind of weird because when it comes to like we'll stick with the Toy Story analogy here. When it comes to the trilogy, it's a little bit similar for me. Um, but then 4 is in a completely different spot than Toy Story 4 is for me. For me, it goes 3, 4, 1, 2.
Oh, for Toy Story or for Peter Gabriel?
No, for Peter Gabriel.
For
for
Peter
the Peter
Gabriel,
Gabriel self-titled quadrilogy.
for Peter Gabriel, it might actually. Oh, yeah, I think you said 3-4-1-2.
3-4-1-2.
I think mine goes 3-4-2-1, and I think the reason
Okay.
that I put 2 over 1 because 2 starts off surprisingly simple. Like it's a basic kind of rock song with On the Air, and I was
Mhm.
like, it's okay, but that song really made me kind of be like, oh, this is why Peter kind of he needs to kind of like stretch out and do these weird things because when he does the simple stuff, it sounds off. But then you get into some really good tracks, like Mother of Violence is really good. My
Mhm.
favorite 1-2 punch of anything that I listen to for Peter Gabriel is Animal Magic and then Exposure. Is really fucking cool. White Shadow was another good one, but this is probably the more accessible of the 4 albums.
Um, I don't know. I feel like Melt is more accessible. Um, yeah, I would say 3 is a little bit more accessible, except for the opening track, Intruder. That
Yeah,
one,
that
that
would be my
one.
argument because Intruder was the one I was alluding to earlier, where it's like, oh, you're adding in like non-musical stuff. Like I almost feel like you need to watch the video along with it to kind of get what's going on. But
I if you if there's one thing I want people to take away from this is I want people to listen to his work with the New Blood Orchestra because this version of Intruder, oh my god, it's so amazing. Um, but okay, I would still say 3 is more accessible, but 2 probably would. Yeah, 2 would be the second one.
yeah, I would say that my favorite track on 3 is the closer, Biko. Biko was really
Oh yeah.
cool. Yeah.
So when I went to visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, um, they had just put out a pamphlet of like the 500 their 500 most important songs. Not necessarily greatest, but like most influential songs. And the only Peter Gabriel
Oh,
song to be on was Mhm. Yeah,
you're there. Okay,
this
you're back
song
now.
is oh, sorry. Yeah, Biko was the only song on that list.
Oh, wow. All right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Um,
know it's a big inspiration for, a couple people. I think Paul Simon is a huge fan of Biko, so
yeah, and then kind of right in the middle, you get Games Without Frontiers, which I think is
Oh,
like
yeah.
an overlooked single, especially
Mhm.
with like it's really I really got the sense of like kind of what it was about, where it was like it's kind of like it's a really like a protest song, especially the line like Games Without Frontiers, war without tears, or war without tears, I think is the right, or was it War Without Fears?
I believe it's War Without Fears, but it is one that I've never actually, like, looked the lyrics up themselves, so
Yeah,
I
but
could
I
be
think
wrong.
but like and especially like the Adolf line, like it's absolutely commentary on like the Nazi regime and kind of their I feel like they're kind of motive behind it, where it was like there was no
Mhm.
real emotion behind it. But getting into the fourth one's really fucking cool. San Jacinto is a great
Ah,
one. Um, the family and the fishing net is probably my favorite song of the bunch that we're talking about so far. And it's weird because like the fourth security is the most polarizing because you have family and the fishing net, which is like
yeah.
this weird kind of out there song, and then immediately you go into Shock the Monkey.
Yes. Yes. Arguably one of even though it's still kind of off and avant-garde, it's still easily, like, one of Peter Gabriel's most accessible songs,
Oh yeah.
especially for the time period.
Yeah. But then yeah, Lay Your Hands on Me was really good. Kiss of Life was all right. But
That was
yeah,
good.
San Jacinto in particular, I really like the kind of like the mystique of it, I guess. And I think that's where he really shines.
That one and the Rhythm of the Heat are also part of that New Blood Orchestra
Oh,
recording.
interesting.
Oh my god, and they sound incredible. I think Wallflower is too, actually. I don't remember.
Yeah. Ones that
Uh,
I didn't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, just real quick, there is one more song on that album that I personally really love, but I love the 1983 remix of it a little bit better than the album version, which is I Have the Touch.
Okay.
That one is a deep personal favorite for mine.
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah. No. Oh yeah. Yeah. That one he's got a lot of bite to it. Just trying.
Mhm.
I was just like pulling up to get a remembrance. But yeah, of the other albums that I didn't get a chance to, but I would definitely recommend checking out. Us from 1992. I know that's got a
Yeah,
couple.
that used
I mean, Blood of Eden. I think is a really pretty song. And then some other ones, but I don't want to kind of spoil that. Fine, but go listen to the album, then maybe you can guess. The other
Us
one,
used to be my favorite album of all time. It
yeah.
held that spot for a long time.
And then the one that I didn't, I think I've heard bits and pieces of it, but I think it was you, maybe others that it was the double album from 2013, the Scratch My Back and I'll Scratch Yours, where
Yeah,
he does
baby.
covers and then yeah,
Yeah, so that one is one of the earliest memories I have of listening to Peter Gabriel. Um, it's basically he covered a bunch of songs by other people, by other acts. Like he does a Bon Iver song, he does a Radiohead song, he does a Paul Simon song, and then they all did a cover of one of his songs for the other album. There's only two people that he covered that either didn't or couldn't. I don't remember who the other one was, but the second one was Radiohead, which is
yeah.
disappointing because I would love to hear Tom York do a Peter Gabriel song.
If I can sell you on one song from that double album alone, Randy Newman does Big Time.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is
Um,
so good.
yeah. And then the only other thing I wanted to ask you about, because I haven't seen the movie, but it's the first thing that pops up when you go into Peter Gabriel's discography. He did all the music for The Last Temptation of Christ,
Yes, and it
which
is.
is because I never would have guessed Scorsese and Peter Gabriel as a pairing.
I can see it considering Scorsese's love of like I don't want to call it classic rock, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, I have seen Last Temptation of Christ. It is fantastic music, but it is also music that I don't know if I would listen to it without watching the movie. I don't know if other people would.
Okay. Interesting.
Mhm.
Huh. Okay. But yeah, check out Peter Gabriel. Definitely worth a shot. If he's not your jam, that's totally okay.
Listen to So though. So is the album that I would introduce people to Peter Gabriel for.
Okay, yeah, that's the which one's that?
That's the one that's just got banger after banger after banger. It's got Red Rain, it's got Sledgehammer, it's got Don't Give Up, it's got Big Time, it's got Mercy Street, it's got In Your Eyes. It is just banger after banger after banger after banger.
Um. Oh yeah. All right. Let's go on to question number 2. Your favorite song to dance to?
So this was arguably the most difficult question for me. Um, I don't because the weird thing is that I love to dance, um, but I don't think that there's a particular song that I'm like, I feel the need to dance right now. I gotta put this on. I kind of picked one that I feel like every time it does come on, I just kind of happen to start dancing. Um, and I only found this song this year, so it's
Oh,
probably just fresh for me. It is Sugar and Spice. I Found Me a Girl by Luther Vandross. Uh, it is just so sweet and delightful, and it's kind of sugary, as the title would suggest. Um, but it's that groove is just so good. You can't help but to just like move your hips a little bit to it at least. Maybe do a little shoulders, get the arms in there, maybe do a little jump and a hop every once in a while. Um, but yeah, no, this song is just like in that groove is infectious, and Luther is just he is so good at delivering these love struck, just so happy to be in love kind of songs. It's just absolutely infectious.
yeah, especially like when you get into the line of like I want to tell the world. Like you feel people kind of belting that out or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is I think I might have used this example on the show before, but almost like the Michael Jackson CV Wonder dance, like where you're strutting, but then you have like your fingers snapping, and you're just kind of like I can't do it worth a shit. Um, but Luther Vandross is absolutely my biggest blind spot in terms of like 70s soul. And this song in particular, I think is just a really good mix of like funk, soul, disco, everything that's just great about that decade in particular. I really like how the synth and the horns kind of play along with it. Um,
Hmm.
that bass line is great. It's not doing anything like super duper fancy like you would get in other
No,
songs. I think it's solid, and that's what you need in a great song. Excellent choice. Please go listen to the song if you get the chance.
it is
Uh,
just so much fun.
all right.
I know what's coming.
Question number 3. Your favorite song in the current Rolling Stones Top 500. Let's just get it over with.
So, real fast, I just want to say that I'm somebody who I believe at least that I can differentiate the between favorite and best. I don't think that this is the best song on the current top 500, but it is absolutely the one that I will scream sing anytime it comes on, and that is fucking Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, baby. Those fucking horns that open the song just punch you in the fucking face, and it is glorious. Just some of the lyrics in this song are just so vivid in its imagery that I'm from Philadelphia and I currently live in New Jersey. And this is exactly the kind of sound that Bruce Springsteen is kind of like lives in. Um, so I will automatically relate to this full stop. But it's just the drive and the energy and just the way that literally everyone in the E Street Band is throwing themselves into the instrumentation. It is something that I pray to God I would be able to see live. Um, Unfortunately, it wouldn't be the same without Clarence Clemens and that saxophone
Yeah.
solo, but there is just so much passion and energy in this song that especially towards the end when they just kind of hit that rest and you just hear Bruce go, "Whoa, baby, this town rips the bones from your back. It's a death trap." And oh my God, it is just the most fun to sing along to. I love this song so much.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like I enjoy the instrumentation of it. As hard of a time as I give Bruce Springsteen. The bridge in this is fucking incredible. I got to see a band do this song live, and just realizing how intricate that bridge is, how many key changes they do. And you're right, Clarence Clemens and that saxophone, like the and that's how they kind of slow down, and then Bruce counts them back in. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's all I'll say, because it's not just this song, but like Bruce strains a lot, I guess, in verses and whatnot, and it's just kind of annoying. But we'll move on because we want to stay positive.
Yes.
On to question number 4, a much lighter answer, a somehow infectious answer, given the past year.
I don't know if lighter is the correct word. We'll get to why. But my favorite concert that I've ever been to was the first time I saw Jason Isbell in the 400 unit. It was Valentine's Day of 2018, which, if you remember that day, was very tragic, because I don't remember the name of the school, but that was when the Florida school shooting was. So there was a tension in the concert hall that night. And it was addressed. They did address it very briefly. But it was also the most electric performance I've ever seen. I found Jason Isbell back in 2016, 2015 maybe, and just fell in love with him as a lyricist. The 400 unit have always kind of been his backing band, but this was around the time that they were like, no, we're changing the name to Jason Isbell and the 400 unit, where it became like the band was like the big deal, and you could feel it. It was literally one of those performances where everyone's just walking up to each other, rocking out in like each other's faces.
Nice.
Yeah, no, seriously. Jason and I wish I remembered most of the name of the band. But Jason and like the main guitar player are just like back to back, just absolutely shredding during Cumberland Gap. The fucking keyboardist was doing that thing where he's playing it backwards as he's leaning over the keys and just like going to fucking town. It was just a marvelous sight, and like the only visuals were like the swinging lights and their emblem up in lights. There was like no other like visuals. It was just
Interesting.
the band rocking the fuck out, playing their hearts out. And that's the kind of shit I love. I don't need a million dancers and lasers and fog. I just need the music to be amazing. So the wild thing about this was, do you want to know what the encore song was?
What was the encore song?
The encore song was If We Were Vampires. And
what a song to go out on.
And the crowd went fucking nuts the moment he started playing those opening chords. It was just a magnetic performance by Jason and the band.
Was this before or after Creamsicle came out?
This was before.
So did they play Creamsicle, and did the crowd nail it when it came to the folding armchair line?
I wish. No, the only song that from reunions that they had done during the show was Be Afraid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you had, I think you had, did you have that on your 500 list?
Be Afraid? No, I did not.
Yeah. No? Okay. I think it's come up at some point, but yeah. Are there any openers for these guys, or was it just Jason Isbell?
Oh, yes. And I'm wishing I remember her name because I actually really like her. I want to say it's like Alice Birdie. Um, and it was just her and her guitar. She did like maybe five. No, wait. No, I'm getting this wrong. I'm mixing this up with the other time I saw Jason Isbell. So no, the opening act was James McMurtry,
Okay.
who is kind of a underground country icon because he's another one of those guys where he's like he's much older than Jason Isbell. He's been around for years, decades even. Is wildly critically acclaimed, and it's just another one of those guys where just amazing lyricist. Um, so to have him there and Jason Isbell, it was just like I was in like alt country heaven. Like I'm not gonna lie.
No, that'd be really cool. Jason Isbell is on my list of bands to see live. I think he has a tour still
Still
happening.
happening.
Yeah, we had looked at potentially going to a couple shows, but I think the next time that he hits up the East Coast, especially like Boston in particular, like Boston's not a far drive for us. Like it'd be like a day or so.
Mhm.
But I definitely love to check him out just because of just being around a bunch of people, and it's kind of this speaks to all concerts in general. Just being with a group of people that also love Jason Isbell, getting to watch him, like you said, just rock out and really get to enjoy playing their music because that's half of the show pretty well. Is just getting to watch the enjoyment.
Mhm.
Um,
He's
but
gonna be
yeah,
in Philly in February.
if my partner was not pregnant, because we
Oh
had
yeah,
yeah,
fair,
because there
fair.
was another concert that we wanted to go to. It was like, oh, Queen of the Stone Age and the Struts are playing in Moncton in April. But damn it, we're due. You're due 10 days after. Fuck. Uh,
Bring some earphones for the kid, like headphones for the kids.
yeah, just put them on the belly. All right. Question number 5. Your favorite music video. I think this has been Yeah, I think has been used before as a favorite music video. I can't remember exactly who, but I do remember watching this, I think, for this show.
Um, I don't remember, but I do remember somebody proposing it for our music video draft as well. Um,
Right, maybe that's what it was. Was it
but
Melissa?
maybe, um, but it's considered one of the best music videos of the '90s, and it's what introduced me to this band, and I love these guys so much. My favorite music video is "Virtual Insanity" by Jamiroquai. I was kind of split between this and "King for a Day," which is also by Jamiroquai, and one of the most underrated songs of the '90s, like just in general, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but this is the one where if you don't know Jamiroquai, he's the guy with the big fluffy hat. If you see like '90s like nostalgia like murals, you're gonna see that. Um, but it's pretty much just him in this room and the walls just kind of like moving around him as he's kind of like white boy dancing throughout it. But it's just so visually interesting because of like the way that everything's like moving. Like the fluidity of motion is just so interesting to watch. And then they throw in these like other like little visuals. Like you get this like crow flying through every once in a while. You get like the cockroach that kind of flips over. Um, and then at the end, like from underneath one of these like love cushions, you see like almost like blood starting to pool off from underneath, and then you see like one little area of the wall kind of like fountaining it. It's so simple, but it's so unique and interesting. Um, and then you get the one scene. It's like the one time he's not in that room, and it's just him walking down a hallway with like 5 other people that like play for the band, just kind of like with like the goggles and um like the hazmat suits, just kind of like off to the wall on like on the side, but they're just kind of like getting blown away by this wind tunnel almost.
Yeah.
It's it's just a it's as I said, it's fluidity in motion and it's just captured so well.
Yeah, it's really cool. I like the obvious fan I think they have in there that's kind of pushing everything back. I imagine that like the furniture and stuff they use strings and whatnot. I'm still trying to figure out why there's like the bugs. The bugs
Mhm.
there, like the first time I think they pan down, they have like it's like a beetle, I think, or something, and it's like, why are you doing that? Um, but I like how they use like the when they pan up and you see like the lights or whatever, and then they cut back down. That's kind of a nice little way to reset. But yeah, his like the choreography in this is really cool, and like how he's able to kind of hide the effect of him kind of sliding around. I think his footwork is really good in it. I did watch the King for a Day music video that you had talked about. That one's really fucking cool, and I think that
Mhm.
encapsulates the sound of Jamiroquai because they're very like bombastic. They're kind of like they're not quite Queen, they're not quite Muse, but they're kind of like the like softer pop versions of that I would say. And I thought it was
They're sort of like if Michael McDonald was the lead singer of Queen.
I'll take that. But yeah, that video in particular because it's very like royal and Victorian. He still has like the weird kind of hat or whatever, but I really like when he's singing into the goblin. I thought that was a really cool thing of like him kind of singing into the mic, but it has these moments of them dancing and then it cuts back into like madness, like they're all at a dining table, and then like I don't know, it's either like a food fight or like a fight starts at some point. But I like that kind of dichotomy word we love to use on this show. But yeah, really cool one. I think I've said it a million times before. If you really like Virtual Insanity, there's a mashup that Pomplamoose does of Virtual Insanity and Staying Alive, and it's fucking unreal. It takes some. Oh man, we got to listen to that after.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, we will.
yeah. All right, on to question number 6. Your favorite musical.
So once again, this is another one where it's like my favorite versus what I think is actually the best. And I think technically the best musical is Fiddler on the Roof. Um, but the musical that I constantly go back to is one of Stephen Sondheim's early work. And there's a reason why theater nerds like myself consider Stephen Sondheim a god amongst composers. My favorite musical of all time is Company. So Company is this, I don't want to call it avant-garde, but it's a show that is meant to be slightly minimalistic and interpreted in like so many ways. You can it's literally designed for the director to kind of have a lot of freedom in it. And it's about this guy named Bobby, who's a New York bachelor who is dating 3 women, and it's about the interactions between himself and his friends who are all couples. Uh, so it's like him as he floats through all of his friends' relationships and like how different and unique they all are. Um, except for this one woman who is just like so she has like a slight disdain for relationships, and it all culminates. It starts with his birthday, and it ends with his birthday. And the big musical piece from this song is Being Alive, which I genuinely think is not just one of the greatest musical theater songs of all time, just one of the greatest songs of all time. And at the end of this, it is basically him telling his friends, all once again, all couples, telling his friends that he's comfortable being alone. He doesn't need to be in a relationship. He's not lonely, blah 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 blah, and stuff like that. And so, like, at the beginning of this song, it's like, who needs someone to hold you too close? Who needs someone to sit in your chair and ruin your sleep and like mess up your hair and like shit like that? Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, yeah.
But then there's like a switch, and you kind of hear his inner monologue where he's saying, "No, I like somebody hold me too close. Somebody love me too much." And you finally break through into like this character's actual inner psyche. And it is just a wonderful, beautiful, fantastic character piece. And Bobby is, I think, one of the most interesting characters of all time. They just recently revived it where they actually flipped the genders, and it still works incredibly well.
This is the favorite answer that you've given for the entire show. I fucking love this music.
Let's go.
It's fucking awesome. Yeah, I really like the like the overcomplicated almost arrangement of it, like Bobby, Robbie, and just like everything
Bobby,
going
baby.
on. And like the rounding parts of it, and like it just makes me want to go see it live because of like every time that you go to it, you can follow a different thing and like figure out like what the writers are really trying to say with it. And especially like the whole subject matter about like relationships and marriage and whatnot. And I really get a sense from like the couples or whatever, or there's a lot of songs or whatever where it's like they're kind of like dead inside, especially like the big one like Company, like when there's just kind of when they're showing or they're shouting out Company in it or whatever, you really kind of get like a sense of let's make these mundane kind of things like really kind of like bombastic and whatnot. I think my favorite song is probably Getting Married Today.
Not Getting Married Today.
Yeah, is is it Elaine Stritch or is it Donna or is it Pamela Myers?
I think it might be Pamela Myers because
does the faster kind of delivery.
Yeah, the patter song.
Yeah. But no, I thought that was really cool. Barcelona is another good one as well. But and even like the reprise of it, I thought was really good, where it's just like, hey, come over, like we'd love to have you here. And like there's one, I think it's early on in the song, they're like, we have somebody for you. It'd be great for the four of us to get together. And then they do it later. It's like, oh, it'd just be great for the three of us to get together. But yeah, I really friggin' like this one.
So I want to go backwards a little bit into what you were saying with the opening song of just Company. So, oh God, I love Stephen Sondheim. So, like the first time you hear just like and just like the Bobby, baby, Bobby, booby, he was trying to replicate like the beep on an answering machine, like that tone.
Yeah,
and just like capture that note and just basically bombard you with the sound of the answering machine beep of all of his friends leaving messages on his machine. It's just such a cool little thing.
I can't wait for our Gen Z listeners, maybe Payson, to be like, "What's an answering machine? Do we?"
Ask your grandparents, kid.
Yeah, but no, go check this out if you haven't. This is right up there with plays that I want to see live, just because of how cool it is. Like I feel like this is. When I was listening to it on the drive, I was like, man, this seems like something like right up like Phil Hartman's alley, like something just kind of something in that nature where he can give that like like the wide-eyed kind of look, but it's like, it's about relationships.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, on to question number 7. I should remember this. Most overrated act. Oh yeah. If you pay attention to the show, you might know this, but we don't talk about it a ton.
Yeah, I've brought this up before. I just don't get the Doors.
How dare you?
Yeah, no. I don't get me wrong. There are a few singles here and there that I really do like. I really like Hello, I Love You. That's a great song. I
Yeah.
like Break On Through to the Other Side. I think that one's a really cool song. And I like Light My Fire, even though I think Jose Feliciano may do a better version of that song. But otherwise, I think that the band is instrumentally talented. I really
Yeah.
do. But I just don't understand this like murky, muddy, like cacophony that they tend to do a lot. And also, I will just never understand. And I don't want to speak ill will of the Dead, because I understand that they've impacted a lot of people and a lot of other great artists that come after them. But I just don't quite understand what sets Jim Morrison like into this icon status other than his death. Like, as a lyricist, he's not great. He's kind of not. Um, he's kind of very basic, actually. Um, and I think he's got a unique, interesting voice, and I think that it's a good rock voice. But I, to me, most of the time, it's fine more than anything. Like, I'm not gonna say that the Doors are a bad band, because I don't think that they're a bad band. But I just don't understand the icon status that they've hit.
Yeah. So here's what I would say, I guess. I agree with you that they're a better, like they're more like instrumentally recognized, or they're instrumentally better than they are given Jim Morrison as a frontman. It's kind of similar to the line of the Smiths, but like Jim Morrison's, you got it. Like it's simple, it's kind of plain. But I think for Jim, what I would say is, as a frontman, I think his range is a little bit better. Like especially when you get into songs like "Riders on the Storm," I think is probably my favorite Door song. Just kind of the mysticism and eeriness of it, and how he's really able to do that kind of hush thing. But then you get to like "Light My Fire" or "Love Me Two Times" is another good one, and he really wails. And like even just kind of thinking about it now, he kind of does that better than like his other counterparts. Like think about like Robert Plant would be another person, because you get the nice softness from like "Stairway to Heaven" at the start, and then it kind of ramps up. But I think his, I would say, is a little more controlled. It's not like it's effortless, I guess, whenever he goes into the softer kind of more timid stuff. I think also just like in general, the keys. I'm gonna look it up right now. The Doors keyboardist. I think he's kind of the backbone of the.
I'd agree with that.
The Doors members organ. Ray Manzarek is the man. He's kind of the guy that's doing the heavy lifting in a lot of these songs, in particular "Riders on the Storm."
I would kind of agree with you, but then again, I would ask the question, what are they doing that the Zombies don't do better when it comes to that?
I would maybe it's just their easier radio songs. Like I would say that's also because these guys get pushed on the radio.
They do. They
Like,
really do.
Like, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they gave us like other acts like Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds and other really great acts. So I understand that they're influential.
Yeah, I mean, it even got to a point where what was it, Val Kilmer, whenever he played Jim Morrison for the Doors movie, they were like, "Hey, you're really good. You could easily just go on tour with us." And
Yeah,
much
I did hear
something,
that.
and it just never happened. But yeah, I think it was kind of like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and and basically like the general kind of consensus for this question in general. They're good, but they're not in that conversation. Like these guys are absolutely in a conversation of all time greats, and like there's a lot, and sometimes you gotta cut people out. Like I'm thinking like even on the 500 list, it's what is Light My Fire the only one that made the 500 list, or
No,
or to
okay,
break on
so
through?
I think it was Light My Fire, but on the 2010s list, The End was in there as well.
Okay, yeah.
Which, as I said on that episode of the second season of like 500 Stones, The End could not come fast enough.
Oof, oof. All right, on to question number 8. Your favorite score. This is a first time watch, but it's of a classic. What did you pick?
I picked Bernard Herrmann's score for the film Taxi Driver. Bernard Herrmann is somebody who I think was better known for composing a lot of Alfred Hitchcock's stuff. Yeah, he did a lot of Hitchcock stuff, like North by Northwest, I think, was Bernard Herrmann. Psycho was definitely Bernard Herrmann. But this was like his last score before he died. Like this and Obsession. And it's got that like smooth, I don't even want to call it smooth jazz. It's like dirty jazz kind of feel, like gritty, grimy New York jazz. And this was another hard question for me because while I tend to notice scores in films, I kind of notice more how it's like enhancing, excuse me, the film and like the scene going on itself. And I don't tend to go back to just listen to the score itself. This is one I actually own the score on vinyl because I love it that much.
Oh shit. Yeah, this one was really cool. I really like the saxophone. It's really kind of sleazy, like especially like when they're in the cab and like you get the kind of the rain hitting the windshield or whatever that would go on to be used like a lot, especially like the Martin Scorsese lovers. But I really like the mix of that, and it's like the clarinet or like the oboe, or it's like that low woodwind, or whatever. Um, of the movie in general, I've really, and you mentioned that like Bernard Herrmann did scores for Albert Hitchcock, and this is his last one. It makes sense because this is kind of it's the biggest mix of like it feels like it was kind of made in like the 40s or 50s kind of sense. Like just the way that certain things are kind of shot, but then it has like it has that 70s raw kind of bite. Like I feel like this movie should have almost came out in black and white.
I would
Like
love to see that actually.
yeah, it would like that's I feel like it's like the movie feels older than it actually is. Because it doesn't have, and it's like it's pretty tame, I guess, for a Scorsese film, especially like the later stuff that he comes out with.
For the first half, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, it gets rougher, gets rougher around the edges.
Especially
But yeah,
once you meet Jodie Foster's character, that's when it kind of starts to get a lot darker.
yeah, but no, it was cool. I would definitely check it out again. But it's like it's kind of the best version of like standard kind of jazzy stuff. I dug it.
Cool. That's all I need.
Yeah. All right. Question number 9. Your favorite soundtrack, and you cheater, you motherfucking cheater, you cheater, cheat, fucking eater. How'd you cheat, Andrew?
I feel ganged up on. So yeah, no, I kind of cheated. and I picked a concert film. But think of it this way. They knew that they were going to make a concert film ahead of time, and they carefully selected the songs for this film in order for a purpose. So I went with Stop Making Sense.
You are a disgusting piece of crap.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing. Everyone's already picked Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Okay? I wanted to pick something different. I almost went with Baby Driver.
Thank you, because if somebody did, I would have just been like, go back to the other episodes that I talked about it. Yeah, it's retired.
It's retired. Yeah, we're done talking about that one. I almost picked Baby Driver, which I kind of thought someone else was going to take. So, but yeah, I love Talking Heads. They're my favorite band of all time, and just song after song after song in this film. It's just, you ever hear an album and it's just like banger, 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 banger. It is so good, and even the soundtrack itself just captures the energy and the chaotic sensation that is being just presented to you on screen. Like, the energy transfers through incredibly well. These are some of the best versions of these songs. Like, the lead up, like the 3-song lead up into Life During Wartime, is honestly one of the greatest runs of song, like, in any album or in any like concert or like film. It's just so good. And you get one song from the Tom Tom Club, and it's the best song from the Tom Tom Club. So hate me all you want. It's the best soundtrack.
Yeah, it's a really good one. There's a couple tracks in particular that really enhanced hearing the live versions. Obviously this must be the place, but the 1-2-3 punch of This Must Be the Place, Once in a Lifetime, and Big Business Izimbra. That was probably my favorite one off of the track. Where is it? Life During Wartime was another good one. Oddly enough, the one that I was like, was actually Psycho Killer, the one that opened it, because I don't hear the guitar as much. That really kind of sets the tempo for it.
So have you seen Stop Making Sense?
No, I have not.
So Stop Making Sense, the way that they do it is it opens with just like a bare stage. Like, you even like see like ladders and shit in the background. Like, there's no scrim, there's no like panels, nothing. It's just the bare stage, and David Byrne walks out with just a guitar and a boombox. And it's just him and that little boombox during the entire duration of Psycho Killer. There's no bass, no drums, like no one else is on stage. It's just him on that bare ass stage. Then the second song comes on. Second song comes on, Tina Weymouth comes on, and it's just the two of them. Then Chris Franz comes on, and etc.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
And piece by piece, like, everything starts to come on stage, like, song by song. So, like, the drop will come in during one song, then like some of the blocks that like the other instruments are on, like the rest of the band that's touring with them. Then other microphones come on for the backing vocalists. Yeah. So that's Psycho Killer is definitely, it's the opening, but like that would hopefully explain it.
Yeah. Cities was another one that I also really enjoyed from this listen. In particular, because I know how much I've talked about how much I love Once in a Lifetime. What I like about this version in particular is the harmonies that they add, especially like when it gets like home and it's like kind of the echo of home. It's really good. They really kind of fill it out. Yeah, I'd love to see the film, especially when you're talking about like it starts off with one of them and it kind of just grows and grows from that. But yeah, it was a really good one. Um, and on to the last question of the show. Your favorite song to perform or sing, and we're ending on a banger.
So I am a singer, um, but I'm not part of a band. I only kind of like tinker with bass. I can't really play it that well. Um, so aside from theater stuff, which I wasn't counting for this question, uh, the only way that I get to perform really is karaoke night. Uh, and one of my absolute go-tos is All These Things I've Done by the Killers. I am a belter. I like to belt. Um, and this is such a great song for that, especially during the bridge. The I got soul, but I'm not a soldier part, and then just at the end, and he just like holds it. Ah, so good. Um, but this is the song where like if you have the right crowd and enough people are like, "Oh my god, I fucking love this song," it is just so amazing to perform live.
Yeah, especially like when you get into like the chorus and then obviously the end. The first time I think I had heard the song, it was for I want to say it was like the Olympics or it was like a commercial as like for like one of the Olympic sponsors, and it's just that end part of I got sold but I'm not a soldier, and it's just a bunch of pictures of different people and whatnot. But I really like the guitar in this and whatnot. The question I have for you: do you do the spoken word part? Where it's like time and like something
Time,
else.
truth, heart. Uh, I can. I try to do it, but sometimes when you're doing karaoke, sometimes you just focus on what's on the screen, and that almost never pops up. So when I remember it, I
Really?
try to. Yeah.
Okay. Um, but yeah, and then especially like the verses as well, how empty they are, and it really gives whoever's singing it a chance to shine and kind of belt because that's oddly enough that's where he's doing a lot of his hardest work. And then like we mentioned the end, just to have a crew singing along with you, and then just to kind of end it on all of that, I think it'd be amazing. I'll have to fly down to Philly sometime, and we can do that one again.
Uh, I mean Florida as well.
Oh,
But
Florida. Well, I could. Well, theoretically, though, I could. If I had to fly tomorrow, it would still be in
it
Jersey.
would still be in Philly. Yes,
Yes.
I'm just an
Although,
asshole. Don't mind me.
although based on our previous conversation, I think Newark might have been closer,
Potentially, yes.
potentially. Yeah. And Newark is just easier to travel in. Although Philly was
Yeah, it's
glorious and
weird.
they had really good food.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that you like the food.
Yeah.
That soft pretzel
Um.
though.
Oh God. There will never be another pretzel like a Philly soft pretzel. Um. But yeah, that's gonna end the show. As always, the encore questions that I'd like to give. I guess we can only really ask one of them because we don't have any more guests coming on. Who are you
Fair.
listening to that other people need to check out?
Let's see. Other people that I'm listening to that other people need to check out currently. Well, first of all, Ray Raddick, good friend of mine, but legitimately like incredibly catchy songs. Rustin Kelly, I think, is just like a hidden treasure. Him and Charlie Adams, I think, are really great. And one more that I'll shout out would probably be, let's go with McKinley Dixon. I think McKinley Dixon is one of the most interesting hip hop artists out right now. Just like absolutely incredible work right now.
Okay, nice. But yeah, that's gonna end it, I guess, for the set list. Thank you to everybody that's been on. We got to 20. That's pretty good for a show
Yeah.
in this community. Yeah.
Especially for the
do
internet.
yes, absolutely. Should we announce what's coming on in the next year, or do we just want to do that after?
I don't know, Brooklyn. What is coming on the next year? I don't remember.
Oh, well, thank you for the for the segue. So here's what's coming on. I'll do the smaller one and then the bigger one. The smaller one is kind of the passion project that I've been wanting to do for a while. And if you're following me outside the community, I'm having a child in April. So I need to. So this one I needed to kind of get done with at the start of the year. And I wanted to do a proper music debate tournament. So that's going to be the Like 500 Takes Invitational. We already have our bracket kind of set up and whatnot. But that's going to be recording in January, and then we'll put those up. But the goal of that is to get that done before April, and then that way we can kind of get all the matches in and out and whatnot. A semi-restructured format. If you're familiar with like Fan Zone or any of the other debate shows, it's going to be a little tighter, I think. But there's also the opportunity for people to kind of draft categories and whatnot. I'd say probably before we upload the first video, we'll kind of break down the bracket and all the matchups and whatnot. There's some that I'm really looking forward to, and we have some heavy hitters coming into that tournament. And I hope you guys really enjoy that. The big one, though, that I think will be carrying out for a lot longer, I believe, is called the turntable. Yeah,
I believe that's what we decided on.
Yeah, it's a turntable. It was a show that Cody had pitched to us, and he's like, "Hey, you know what I do with Roundtable? Why don't you guys just kind of do that with music? Like, it's just kind of there." And it'd be easy for people to kind of digest and kind of get the albums in, because if you're doing 5 albums, it's basically 2.5 hours, which is like the equivalent of a movie. At most, you're doing like 3.5 hours worth of listening. But yeah, we're really looking forward to that. Andrew, how do you feel about the turntable?
About the turntable, I'm super excited because I think this is going to be an opportunity for us to have guests on that outside of the current community that we kind of run in. We can grab people from outside of there, and I think that it's going to be just really interesting to hear like other people's tastes in music, and it's going to be interesting having 5 different albums that we all pick from because let's be honest, with some of the guest panels that I'm trying to piece together, it's going to be a wild bunch. We're going to have like someone who's going to throw in a hip hop album and a country album and an EDM album and like, I don't know, a fucking Yanni record. So
I want to make that a rule, and then somebody's gonna come in one of the group chats like, no, I really want to throw on a Yanni album. Hear me out. Like, all right, fine. Break our one rule.
Our one rule. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. And I'm super excited about the new channel that we're going to be doing this on, Like 500 Takes. So please do join us over there. We'd like to thank Nazario and Mike for having us on the video store and letting us finish the set list on there. But please follow us to our new channel as we experiment with our new shows there.
Yeah. No, Mike and Nazario have always been great for supporting stuff. It's always been joked upon that like music is kind of like the little brother of the of the community. It's like, all right, you guys have your fun, but like the adults, the movie guys, we're gonna go have our fun and stuff. But yeah, really excited for everything kind of coming on in the new year. We could probably announce the first panel. I think that is kind of locked in place.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So the first panel, I'm in. Myself and Andrew will be there. But the 3 guests that we're going to be having on, Cody Newberry. That was kind of the caveat. He would be on the first show. Bill Carriola is going to be joining us. And then if you remember from, I think it was episode 2 or 3, Todd McLean, my saxophone piano playing buddy, he's going to be on. And I'm really excited to see what he picks because he's got a nice wide range of taste.
I already have my first album picked out.
I'm torn between 2. I'm going to see what everybody else picks. It was going to be 1, but then I was like, I kind of want to see what everybody else picks, and I might like match the style, or like it's kind of like wine pairing. It's like I can match the steak that's in front of me, or it's like, oh hey, this rich steak can go with like a nice light wine.
I think that I'm laughing, but I think that was a perfect metaphor.
Yeah. All right, for Andrew,
You
fine.
can come, Mr. Producer Man. Fine.
Okay, yeah, fine, yeah. All right, for Andrew, myself, for Mr. Producer Man, who's been a champ through all of this. Cheers, guys, and as always, try safely.
Bye, y'all.